Quick summary, by an enormous margin, easily the worst thing I have ever tested. So safe to say I was not impressed, but beside it just performing terribly, there are several other facets to this thing which are both fascinating and wildly confusing as well. This voice note I left myself should give you some idea.
It's expensive, it's potentially unsafe, and the way they advertise it is completely misleading.
So yeah, this is going to be a spicy episode. My name, as always, is Luke, and welcome back to Trace Velo. Right then, a little bit of context for you here. So recently, I was lucky enough to be one of the first people in the world actually to test these carbon ceramic disc rotors for road bikes. They are true carbon ceramic, well, incredibly lightweight, unbelievable top-end braking performance, but also pretty expensive as well. I published a video on it, pitting them against regular steel discs, but while researching that episode, I saw that on AliExpress, a few vendors there were also selling carbon ceramic disc rotors. So at the time, I was like, great, I can pick one of these up on AliExpress. I mean, it wasn't super cheap, close to 100 quid, but I can use it in the testing against the real deal. Amazing. But yeah, as soon as I got this thing in the post, it was clear I'd been somewhat misled. This right here is the product page on AliExpress, and there are a few like it. A couple of vendors are selling pretty much the same thing, and in all the instances I found, they are clearly labeled as carbon ceramic disc rotors. In fact, let me just show you, this is live right now on AliExpress, and it's in fact the exact same product page that I bought my disc from. So you can see in the title there, we've got carbon ceramic brake disc. It's listed there on the image. Scroll down a little bit, yeah, carbon ceramic material, and yeah, keep going into the description. Yeah, there we go, composite carbon ceramic. There it is again, it's listed on the image. Scroll down a little bit further, and it even says, yeah, high strength carbon ceramic, high temperature sintering of long carbon fibers combined with silicon carbide. It's literally plastered all over this product page. So you'd be foolish to think these were made of anything other than carbon ceramic, right? Now, it clearly states, even on the disc itself, that this thing is carbon ceramic, but as soon as I got it in my hands, I knew that wasn't true. So I scraped off a little bit of the black finish here next to one of the rivets, and yeah, lo and behold, it was metal underneath, but it wasn't steel. It actually seemed like the brake track itself was made of aluminium, of all things, with, yeah, some form of coating. Now, the coating applied was matte black, but it didn't strike me as basic anodizing, and it didn't seem like a paint finish either, so I did a bit of digging. I believe, although this wasn't listed anywhere, that it's a PEO coating, which stands for Plasma Electrolytic Oxidation. Basically, it uses plasma discharges to convert the very top layer of aluminium into a type of ceramic oxide. So it could technically be called a ceramic coating, but importantly, there's no carbon involved, and certainly not any silicon carbide, as it claims here, which actually does form when you produce legitimate carbon ceramic discs, but this is aluminium. There are no carbon fibers here. However, this tech has been used on bikes before, specifically Fulcrum. They've actually used a PEO coating on the aluminium rim brake track for some of their wheel sets, because it does create a really hard kind of wear-resistant surface. It basically grows out of the aluminium. So it's not carbon ceramic, but it's also not nothing, if you kind of catch my drift. In fact, there's a company called Keronite, and they're developing this tech for use in automotive. So they plan to use aluminium disc brake rotors with a PEO coating on some cars in the future. They're kind of targeting EVs, I think, because it enables them to drop a little bit of weight. Upon closer inspection, I did notice a few areas on the disc where the coating was absent. You can see here, there's a kind of speckle pattern where it looks like the aluminium underneath is showing through. But after researching, I was kind of optimistic, actually. No, it's not carbon ceramic, but it appears to be a legitimate technology with a somewhat proven track record. But yeah, all that aside, Let's test it.
I am once again asking for your financial support.
Right then, as much as I probably would do this for the love of the game, I do have some bills to pay, so I've got to talk about a sponsor quickly. But it's one I genuinely use all the time. So if I've shown you a clip of me cycling outside in the last 5 years, maybe more, I'm wearing cycle clothing from Siroko. They're a Spanish company that produce some really great value cycle gear, everything from glasses to socks, gilets, jackets, jerseys, bib shorts, yeah, you name it. It's all really well priced. It looks fantastic, in my opinion, and it lasts ages as well. I mean, I've had this kind of race-inspired white jersey well over 4 years at this point. The link in the description or this QR code on screen will get you 10% off the entire site, and yeah, anything you buy helps me out a little bit as well, which is cool. So yeah, thanks for bearing with, and let's get back to it. Okay, check this out. So yeah, I've literally just put this wheel on, and I've done a few of these, right? So spin it, and just, you know, checking to see if I've got brake rub, basically. At first glance, I thought the surface was already kind of wearing off, but it's not. It's just the resin pad material that's yeah, stuck to it, because basically the surface is abrasive. It's almost like a fine grit sandpaper, so it's just taking some of the pad with it. But yeah, I've no idea how bedding in, for example, is supposed to work on a disc like this. So I guess let's get it out on the road and test it.
A few moments later.
Right, just got to my local hill. Couple concerns before we start. Number one, bedding in these brakes. How does that work? Number two, aluminium warps quite easily when it gets hot. And number three, aluminium's melting temperature is relatively low compared to steel. Aluminium has a tendency to soften quite considerably at 300 degrees C, which is a temperature that brake tracks under heavy braking will get to quite easily. So there's a chance that on a heavy brake pull, the aluminium on the surface might just start smearing round the brake track. So this could be interesting. I'll take it easy. Okay, so even just coming down here, the brakes were incredibly noisy. So I don't hold out much hope, honestly, but let's give it a go. That is absolute trash. Quick summary, by an enormous margin, easily the worst thing I have ever tested. They squealed at even the most delicate touch of the brake lever, plus I resurfaced the pads and cleaned everything down with brake clean, so there's zero contamination on here, just dreadful. Looking closely, it's starting to maybe polish the surface slightly. So I'll give it another few goes. You can see there's a little bit of polish on it. Maybe some pad materials being deposited. So I'll give it another few goes up and down the hill and see how we get on. But I am not optimistic. Let's just say that much. Okay, right. So I'm going to go very, very gently this time. See if I can somewhat bed them in and try and reduce that howl, because it's ridiculous. Let's go. We've reached the next level and squeal. Oh my God. That's so stupid. That's so stupid. I did not exceed even 15 miles an hour going down there, and it would not stop howling. I'm going to give it another few runs. I think on the second half of this hill, I'm just going to build up some big speed and see if I can kind of burn it in, see if that'll help. But this product is just trash so far. Terrible. So, safe to say, speed did not help at all. Seemingly nothing I do can reduce that squeal. I'm going to continue riding around this afternoon and see if it improves, but I'm pretty sure it won't. Okay, so I really tried to give these the benefit of the doubt this afternoon. So I've been up and down that hill about 5 or 6 times, same with this one down here, but I thought it was getting better. No, these are just tragic. In fact, I've literally just twigged the coating has like burnt off all around the outside there. Just dreadful, dreadful product. They're so terrible. I don't even know why you would go to the effort of making it in the first place. Honestly, beggars belief. So this is a terrible product. I genuinely tried to bed it in properly, but from the first most gentle brake pull, it was howling. I was potentially gonna come home, clean it off, and try some new pads, but yeah, the coating just gave out. In fact, it lasted a grand total of 7 miles before it peeled off. This cost me 92 quid. So in terms of basic running costs, that equates to £13 per mile. It would have actually been cheaper for me to drive that distance in an Abrams tank, because that would have only cost me 68 quid in diesel, and it probably would have been a bit quieter as well. I cannot overstate to you how loud this thing was. I mean, it's clearly such a problem. They even state something in the description. They say abnormal screeching. That's the language they use, not me. Where it does not constitute a quality issue. So yeah, let's just say I'm pleased I was in the middle of nowhere, because it was honestly embarrassing. But it's weird, right? It's not carbon ceramic, barefaced lied about that, but it does appear to be a PEO coating, which is quite an expensive specialist finish. And as mentioned, it is being kind of researched for use in automotive braking applications. So you think that might have been enough to kind of market this under, rather than lying about the fact it's carbon ceramic, if you see what I mean. But there's also the weight as well, right? Because the #1 reason to use aluminium in this particular scenario, including in automotive, is weight reduction. So to give you a point of comparison, the legitimate carbon ceramic rotor, this size that I tested, came out at 79 grams. So that's pretty impressive. This one is 101. So the equivalent Shimano Ultegra disc rotor comes in at just 109 grams, and you can pick that up for 35 quid. So yeah, I'm really struggling to see the point. I don't know why this was made, honestly. If it was a tenner, maybe I could, cut it some slack. But it's nearly 100 quid, and I found some listings that are selling the same thing for 126, which is crazy. For that price, you'd maybe expect carbon ceramic, or at the very least, a usable product. But yeah, this is neither of those things, in my opinion. Sifting through AliExpress is kind of my job, really. And in the last 8 years or so, I've spent nearly 10,000 quid buying bike bits on the platform. In my experience, products like this, where the listing, in my opinion, is fraudulent, or at the very least, extremely misleading, they're actually pretty rare, but still, it kind of devalues the entire platform, and it's a shame to see, honestly. Interestingly, you may have seen GCN actually featured this rotor on one of their videos recently, but I don't think the presenter Alex really twigged just how weird this thing really is. Now, his testing mirrored mine. They were not good performance-wise, and they were incredibly loud. But yeah, I think he said it was steel rather than aluminium. Regardless, he told people to steer clear, and I highly recommend you take that advice. Yeah, don't buy this. But if you did want to see how genuine carbon ceramic disc rotors actually perform on a road bike, like I said, I've done a video on it recently. They are legitimately very impressive, and the way they're made and manufactured is super interesting as well. Plus, I've been chatting with the company, Carbonova, since publishing that video. They're going to allow me to give away a couple of sets to you lot out there as well, which is so cool. I've put a Google form down in the description, so put your details in there, and it's all managed by me, so no one else is going to see your data or whatever, and I'll randomly select 2 winners to receive a pair of their disc rotors, so a 140 and a 160mm carbon ceramic rotor, along with the special Shimano brake pads as well. And yeah, they'll just ship them out to your door, which is wicked. So massive thank you to Carbonova for allowing me to do a giveaway. First time I'll have done anything like this on the channel. It's completely free to enter. So yeah, if you fancy winning a set, enter down below and maybe they'll get shipped out to you. Their website's going live in a few days, and they've got a pre-sale on the 15th of Feb, I believe, for the first 100 units, and there's a discount on there as well. But I'll put all the details for that in the description below. And again, massive thank you to Carbonova for allowing me to do a really cool giveaway. Also worth saying, I suppose, I'm not being paid anything by Carbonova. They sent me the set to try, And that's pretty much where the relationship ends, honestly. So yeah, if you fancy winning a set, then enter in the description. And yeah, all the best. Right, see you next time. Ciao.